time for the fuel pump to finally be installed into the car. Let's get it. YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Chris Rod here, and today what we're going to be doing is simply installing the fuel pump onto the 1998 Mustang Cobra Venom. Now, the fuel pump that I actually went with was the 255 liter per hour pump by Walbro, and one of the good things with this fuel pump is that not only does it have the pump within the basket, it all comes with the assembly of the basket in general. So all I literally have to do is take the basket out of the tank and then put the new one in, and it should be that easy. So already what I have done, and I have not put it on camera, but what I have done is obviously put the car on rhino ramps to make sure I have elevation so I can actually get the tank down. I've already took a simple connector from the, I don't know what it's called, but it's when you get hit basically and the button pops up. It's like a module for the fuel pump. I already disconnected that while the car was on, so I know all the fuel is not going to be stuck in the lines. I also put a chalk up front for safety. It's always a good thing. And I also took out the bolts that actually are attached to the filler neck, because I'm not too sure whether or not when I drop the tank, if it's going to be in the way or rip stuff. I'm not too sure. I even disconnected the negative battery terminal on the car because I don't want to have a spark and then it sparks the fuel and then I blow up. Pardon the very rude interruption, but this next scene is not going to have good audio, so let me just sum up exactly what I'm going to be saying within it. We're going to have the basics. I'm going to give you exactly what you need, which is jack stands. You're going to pretty much need a ratchet, maybe a 3/8 drive ratchet with a socket set, and on top of that, possibly a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes, you know, things get a little stubborn, you got to pry them out. Something that you're actually going to need is a specialty tool in order to take out the fuel line. And you can get this little piece like at any auto parts store for like $11, so no biggie on that. But make sure that when you're doing this job, you have that specific tool. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is disconnect the electrical connection right there, and as well as disconnect the fuel line, which is located right over here in front of the fuel tank or behind the rear differential. And I'm simply disconnecting this fuel line because it's connected all the way to the top of that basket portion or clamp that you bolt on. That's where it's connected to, so I want to disconnect that first. Now that I have my electrical disconnected and as well as my fuel line disconnected, I'm actually ready to have this jack stand prepared to basically just support the tank so that I can unbolt the two screws, which is located in the front and as well as in the back. All you gotta do is just follow these fuel tank straps and you'll get to the bolts that you need to remove. Also, when I'm ready to drop the fuel tank in particular, I have to make sure that I'm keeping a watch on this filler neck right here. And the reason I need to make sure I have an eye on here is because I don't want to bend this filler neck and then I have a whole new project to worry about later. There's one. And there's two. If I'm really being honest, guys, if you got a set of power tools, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier when taking these bolts out. I'll be really honest with you. But now, both straps should actually be facing down. I gotta get the other one to face down real quick. Should just pull it. And then I'm ready to simply take the jack stand and turn it to the left and simply drop the tank as low as I can. Now, one thing I do want to mention. Be sure to have your fuel as low as you can to the E level. Do not try and do this particular job with a full tank of gas. Make sure your tank is at least a quarter or close to the E as much as you can get it. Alright. That somewhat worked. And I think if I gently bring her down, just gently, right? Gently. I got the fuel neck over there that's actually being pushed a little bit, and I think maybe right there. So I have the fuel tank down just enough to where I can see visibly my whole basket set thing cover for the fuel pump. I also see that I have two lines that I have to actually remove, and that's going to be right here. I'm hoping you guys can see this. That's right here, and as well it's right here. They got two clips on it, and for these clips, all you really gotta do is simply lift one side up, which is generally the side on the actual hose, and I can't get to it now, but like so. Lift one side, get the other end off, that stays there, and the same thing for the other. Simple lift, and the whole thing comes off like so. And then you take your disconnect tool, put it in these lines, take those lines out, and then we're ready to remove the entire fuel pump assembly. So I actually made a decision just to take out the fuel line that's on the left part of the top piece here, because this line is actually completely loose, which is actually good for me. So Now all I gotta do is take out, I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, and they should be 8mm. You pull that off. Now you're onto the fuel pump assembly, and there's 2 clips you gotta grab on the actual basket alone. Hit one clip on the side, hit a clip on the other, and lift the whole thing out. What am I doing? I have power tools, man. Come on, bro. All my bolts are out. Now I should be ready to just take this whole thing out and just put a new fuel pump in it, man. Damn, dude. Now, technically, because this was tightened down and this has a gasket underneath it, I may simply just need to grab actually a, trim removal tool, pry this out. Should probably clean that first. So I got that cleaned up real quickly, and I just want to pry up on this and see if it'll pop out with ease. And I think it should. And she does. And if I'm being honest, it was a good idea for me to clean that because there was a lot of sand in there. So now, lifting this up all the way, here is our fuel pump assembly. And here's pretty much the inside of the, I guess, fuel tank. And the clips that I need to like remove quickly is just the ones of these little tabs right here. And let me show you these specific tabs on the new pump. So now we're here looking at the new fuel pump, and basically these are the 2 tabs right here that I kind of have to pinch on each side and then remove the whole basket out of the pump. And I also got to make sure that, well, the old one doesn't really matter. I could bend that one, but when I put this in, I got to kind of put it at an angle to where this goes in and then the float won't have an issue or a bend as I'm installing this. So I'm gonna lift up here. I got to pinch right here, and on the other end, and this hurts. There's a lot of fuel in this. Okay. All right. So that was simple. Not really. So here is the fuel pump, the old one at least, and there's nothing that I really have to do as far as swapping parts from here to the new pump. The only thing that I need is just that fuel line right there, which connects to the fuel filter. So that's the only thing I really need to swap up. But always keep in mind when doing this particular job, you have to know what kind of way you remove the pump out. That's the same way it's got to go back in. Clearly on the new one, there's no fuel pump sock here, so I don't have to maneuver it too much in a way where it's going to be a pain in my rear to try and get it in. All I gotta do is make sure that this float sits on the inside and it's, able to move freely, and then the install's pretty much done. Now I have my fuel pump. I'm gonna try to insert just the sock, or not the sock. I want to insert the float first. That way I can angle this properly and maneuver it to get it in there. Get that in first. Step 1, somewhat decent. Let go a little bit. I should. Whoa, that kind of just slipped right in. Okay. It really wants to be in there, man. I wonder if... Wow. That just clipped right in. So the basket is pretty much in place. It's not going anywhere. I wiggled it around. I even took it out again to see if I hear the same click, and I did. So it's not going nowhere. And the sock, not the sock, the float. The float still moves nice and freely. Last thing I gotta do is just put the top piece and screw it down. And I gotta remember that this electrical line kind of went through under here and around, and it goes to the front. So I just got to keep that in mind, and as well as just make sure my fuel lines are pointing towards the front. So a little maneuvering, but once it's in there nice and seated, screwed down, you're all good to go. Now all I'm simply doing is just tightening up all these bolts in a crisscross pattern to make sure I have a nice seal from that ring or the rubber gasket that's within the metal plate for the fuel line thing, top piece. Yeah, I'm just tightening everything up. And then after that, I have a little bit of a problem, which is just the tank kind of slid towards me, and now I can't get to that fuel line. So I got to figure something out, but that is okay. Hopefully you guys are able to see it, but my fuel lines are completely connected, and the last thing I have to do with the fuel lines itself is basically put that metal clip on the line, which is already attached on there. So as you can see, officially the fuel lines are connected with the proper clips on there, and now I'm ready to lift this whole fuel tank back up onto the car and strap it in. This is really, not for nothing. This is on the back. On the back, this is hard. This is ridiculous. The goal is to get at least one of the straps attached. That's the goal. And I want to get that one first, because I can see this bolt right in front of me. So that's what I want. That's what I want. I'm struggling. So after some complications, the strap here, it's in. Now I gotta get the other one, and I do the usual. I put grease, I put high temperature grease on my bolts. That way when I go to tighten them back up, they don't snap and heat up and get all that crap, and you know, you get a broken bolt, you gotta switch things, and I don't have time for that. So this is what I'm doing for right now. So now I'm just going on this side, and I'm getting ready to basically put this bolt in. I started threading it in a little bit earlier, because, you know, started fingers, you know, finger thread it. I don't know, man, I don't know. We're just gonna send it, you know what? She's going in. I just gotta retighten the other side. I think I'm gonna loosen it up and actually put more grease, and then from there I start reconnecting my electrical, reconnecting the fuel line for the filter. That should be all done. Then we're ready to start this up, hopefully in one try. Everything's tightened up, all connections are in. I believe all I have to do is actually take this car and bring it down, and I'm ready to start her up. Note to self, I already as well put the little connector for that collision box thing in the rear. That's already done and put back together. The fuel filler neck is all bolted in, which is always a good thing. And the last thing I really have to do is put the negative battery terminal onto the post, and we're pretty much done from there. One thing that I will do before I actually start the car, I'm gonna lift the rear end all the way up with the jack, take the rhino ramps out, yeet them out of my life, and then I'm gonna bring the whole car down, because I feel like with the only amount of fuel that's in here, which is like a quarter tank, I think if I try to start it now when it's at its angle, I might burn the new pump, so I don't want to do that. Car's down, pumps in. Now the moment that I have been waiting for. Key in, clutch, neutral. Let's see if it starts. Oh. With one turn of the key, and she started up. Now the last thing that you really want to do is just take a look under your car, make sure that you don't have any leaks, and obviously there ain't nothing leaking down here. So if I may say so myself, this is a job well done. Guys, and there you have it. It is finally complete. I have officially put the fuel pump in the Cobra, and I could drive this thing wherever the hell I want and not worry about a thing. And with that being said, if you guys found this video enjoyable in any kind of way, and you may have found it helpful, be sure to leave a like. And don't forget, for your boy, be sure to smash the subscribe button, and as well as ring the notification bell. I'm excited for what's to come, and I think, you know, we're gonna do some exhaust next. So till then, it's your boy Chris Rod, and see all you beautiful people in the next one. Peace. Préndele, do cacha y sube para la nube.